Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Going to read through the full article or give you a thorough overview of the article here. There's a link in the description. It is an absolute tragedy. This occurred last Sunday, so a week ago, December the 11th. Two young children have died. One of them, forgive me, decapitated following a car crash. The driver was drunk. The driver was the auntie. So we're going to have a look through the details. Two young children are dead, including one who was decapitated after their aunt allegedly lost control of the vehicle that she was driving in a drunken haze. The aunt crashed in what witnesses have described as being a gruesome wreck. Now, the aunt and the children's mother, who was the passenger in the vehicle, both of them are facing criminal charges in connection with the deaths of two young children. This occurred Sunday, December the 11th. 23-year-old Kalea Sherelle Manning was driving a 2004 Honda Odyssey van, like a people mover, people carrier, you might call it. A 2004 Honda Odyssey in Las Vegas, whilst her sister, 25-year-old Rainessa, if I pronounce it correctly, or Rayenzia, I'm not sure, Clydette-Glenn, Washington, sat in the passenger seat. So the two women, two sisters, the aunt was the driver, 23-year-old Kalea, the mother, 25-year-old Rayenzia, however you pronounce it. They were in the front of the car. In the back of the car were the 25-year-old's two young children, 3-year-old Taylor, 2-year-old Rose. Neither of them were in children's car seats. They were both using adult seat belts. At around 9:15 p.m., the aunt, Kalea Sherelle Manning, lost control of the van on Scott Robinson Boulevard, Las Vegas. The vehicle veered off the pavement, struck a curb, and then the vehicle hit a tree, a light pole, and another tree. So they must have been going at quite some speed. 3 collisions, a tree, a light pole, and then another tree. Witnesses to the incident said that they observed an intoxicated female drop one of the children to the ground. And then the intoxicated female stepped on that child. Here's a statement from a witness. When she was getting out of the car, she just stepped on the baby and walked to the grass. She got out of the car, stepped on the baby, like nonchalant. It's like, what the hell are you doing? It was frightening. So this witness has said that she saw the auntie, one of the women, not sure which one, but she saw one of the two women, either the auntie or the mother, walk out of the car carrying one of the babies, carrying one of the children, which she dropped. She just dropped the child, and then walked on the child, stepped on her. Stepped on the baby. And the witness was shocked. What the hell are you doing? Stepping on your child? What the hell? Dropping your child? Here's a statement from another witness. I was shocked because the baby was like the same size as my baby, and the baby was on my feet when she dropped it. On her feet, I think. I was in shock that she wasn't even caring about the baby. She was more worried about the police. So 2 witnesses here are basically saying that at least one of the women just wasn't caring about the children. And the child would have been the 3-year-old, Taylor. We know that because Rose, the 2-year-old, was decapitated. So Rose was declared dead at the scene. Taylor, the 3-year-old, was rushed to a local hospital. Tragically, she died the following morning, Monday. Police said that the driver, the 23-year-old, the aunt, reeked of alcohol. She was slurring her speech, her eyes were bloodshot, and she repeated herself. She was quite clearly drunk. Blood tests of the driver's alcohol content are still pending, so we don't know the results as yet. Apparently, the aunt of the driver has said that she had 2 shots. 2 shots. Now, in some regards, 2 shots is, I don't know. Society seems to consider 2 shots, 2 full drinks to be a relatively low level of alcohol. But in Australia, you have any amount, any trace level of alcohol in your system, you're over the limit. And I prefer that. I prefer no alcohol, zero alcohol tolerance in regards to drink driving. It's just not required. You don't have to drink. I like to drink. But there's a danger in drink driving, so don't allow it. We have laws for a reason. We do subject ourselves to a civilization which has a judicial system. This law makes sense. Zero tolerance in regards to drink driving. I'm not a complete prude, We all break the laws every now and then. I'm not a saint. But this really is something which people ought to comply with, in my opinion. The aunt, the driver, is facing 3 counts of driving whilst intoxicated, resulting in substantial bodily harm or death. She's also charged with driving with a suspended license, no proof of insurance. The driver, the aunt, also faces 2 counts of child neglect or endangerment resulting in death, 2 counts of operating a vehicle without child safety restraints, and failing to maintain a travel lane. The mother faces 2 counts of neglect and endangerment resulting in death. So I'm going to say that I am glad to see that charge. The mother was not the driver. However, the mother seemingly, I would imagine, knowingly allowed the aunt to drive, knowing that the aunt was intoxicated to some extent or other. So with that, the mother put everyone in danger. She could have said, "Hey sis, I know, you're my sister, we're family, I love you and all, but I don't want to get in the car with you, and I'm not going to allow my children to get in the car with you. You've been drinking. I know that you think it's only 2 shots. I know that you think that you're fine and that nothing untoward will happen. But I love my children. I love myself. I need to protect us. So you're free to drive away. Not even going to report you to the police. Perhaps I should, but I'm not going to. But we'll find our own way home. We'll call for an Uber. We'll do whatever, We'll stay in a motel if we need to. But we're not going to risk our lives by getting in the car with you." Now, I know what I've said there does sound a bit dramatic, and in a sense, it seems unrealistic. I've been in similar situations. I've got into the car with people that are clearly under the influence of alcohol. I've risked that. So again, I shouldn't perhaps be overly pious, but ultimately, that is what we ought to do, especially when we have children. Neither woman has yet been booked into jail because both are recovering from their injuries. They've both been hospitalised and they're currently handcuffed to their beds. So I'm going to comment on that. The fact that both of them are handcuffed to their beds. I mean, that's pretty, I'm going to say draconian. That's pretty harsh. Especially towards the mother who's just lost 2 children. One of them decapitated. It's pretty harsh to handcuff them to their beds. But I support that. These guys, these girls, these women need to face a proper judicial system. And a judicial system needs to be firm. And if it fears that either or both of these women pose some level of flight risk, they might try to escape, or that they may pose some kind of harm to those that are trying to protect them or to give them care, the doctors, the nurses, then yeah, I applaud that. I can recognize the harshness of the actions of the authorities to handcuff both women to their beds. I recognize the harshness, and I applaud the harshness. It tells me that the city of Las Vegas is taking this situation incredibly seriously. And I applaud that. These two women drove home. One of them was the driver, but they both entered the vehicle when they shouldn't have done so. You know, the children weren't correctly in child seats, they were in adult seats. I wonder if that contributed, forgive me, to the decapitation of 2-year-old Rose. I don't know, perhaps it did, perhaps it didn't, I don't know. It's a terrible, terrible situation, and these two are responsible. The mother's responsible. Okay, the mother wasn't driving, and yes, the mother has suffered hugely by the loss of 2 children. But she was responsible for entering the vehicle, for bringing her 2 children into the vehicle. I'm going to presume, knowing or suspecting, that her sister, the aunt, had been drinking, was intoxicated to some level or another. It was a risk that they took. And perhaps thousands, tens of thousands of people take the same risk without incident every single day. But ultimately, in this case, that risk took the lives of 2 young children. 3-year-old Taylor, 2-year-old Rose. I mean, that's even with disregarding the whole dropping Taylor after the accident, stepping on Taylor after the accident. I'll be fair, perhaps those actions are somewhat influenced by the accident. If you've just been involved in a huge crash, you're going to be disorientated, aren't you? So perhaps dropping a child, perhaps that's, I don't know, understandable to some extent. Anyway, I've covered enough of this topic. Thanks for listening. Take care.